All righty, it's halftime, and we welcome onto the program former football head coach Dave Gingrich. Been retired. What, this is the second year you've been retired. How's it feel to be retired? How are you enjoying it? And what are you up to?
Well, I wouldn't say that retirement is everything it's cracked up to be. I really thought I'd just enjoy myself, a nice relaxation, and you know, cocktails and the beach and fun and sun. And it's not really what they preach that it's going to be. So the last 2 years I've been going over to Fox Chase and helping our golf team a little bit. Not that they watch my swing, but just helping out with Chip over at Fox Chase with our golf kids. So I do that a couple days a week, run the weight room a couple days a week, do some academic support after school. So that's been good. And, this year I've been able to go to see more games on Friday nights, the Eagles, of course. And I got to see one of my brother's games as well up at Anvil Cleona. And then we've been traveling. So we've been going to every one of our son's games. And sometimes that involves leaving on a Thursday or on a Friday. And sometimes that involves leaving on a Saturday. I do miss football. Football is, it's something I did for 29 years. So when you're at a game and, you're just like, there's certain things go on, you see something, you're like, well, we ought to try this, or we ought to do that, or, why did that kid do this? So there's still a lot of things that go on in your mind that you either have to keep to yourself, or you call Coach Stroll and say, hey, Coach, this might be something you might want to look at. But
So here's a question then. How many games have you gotten to this year for Cocalico? They've had 9.
I was at the Conrad Weiser game. I actually helped with the Conrad Weiser game because we had a coach that was out with COVID.
How was that?
It was great because Coach Stroll says, could you do this one job? And if you say no, that's fine. I get it. But I'd really appreciate if you would do this. And I said, okay, I'll do that. Went up in the press box and it was very enjoyable. I felt like I gave a little insight with what my job was. I did not overstep my bounds, but I did that job. And, we had a good day and we ended up winning the game. So I was at the Conrad Weiser game. I was at the Warwick game. I was at the Solenko game. Trying to think if there were any other games that I was physically at.
So it sounded like not a lot.
I haven't been to all of them, no, because it's a little bit of like this weekend. I'm thinking to myself, what do I do on Friday? Like Friday, we're at Central, so that's a big game. It's for the section championship, but I don't want to. I don't know. I don't think it's my right to be on the sideline. Okay, that's not it. I don't want to be in the stands because I get, a lot of questions asked. Well, what do you think here? What do you think there? How's this going? How's that going? And I can't really enjoy the game. My wife said about sitting with her, and that gets frustrating. So I don't know what's going to happen on Friday night. So we'll see. It's again, I don't think I've ever been to Manheim Central and haven't coached a game. It's a little bit of a different, you go to Central, you're used to staring over at that big sign that has that big number that stares you in the face all the time. Like 589 or 590.
It was
whatever.
579 at one point, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's a little higher right now, and I've seen it change too many times to enjoy it. But that's something that,
All right.
out.
So, it's interesting. I'm hearing you, talking about coaching life and fan life. So I guess Manheim's the perfect example. When you're coaching at Manheim, you're coaching the Eagles, you're the head coach, and you're in Manheim. What was the stress level from 1 to 10? And then as a fan, what does it come down to for you? It's obviously not the same, but so where do we go from 1 to 10 as a coach, and where do we go as a fan?
Well, when you say stress level, like when you coach a game, when you coach against Manheim Central, that stress level just gets ratcheted up because it's going to be a big game. I don't care what the year is. The records normally have been pretty good when we've gone against each other. And usually a section championship or a playoff berth is on the line. So I don't know if I'd call it stress. I'd call it attention. Like it has your attention and you have heightened emotions and yeah, I guess you could put a little stress in there. I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
when you go to watch a game as a fan, like I've done the clock, the clock the last 2 weeks or 2 out of the last 3 games
Mhm.
or whatever. I got zero stress doing the clock other than making sure that I stop the clock when the official tells me to stop it and start it when it tells me to start it.
Mhm.
If I'm watching the game up in the press box or up above, no, I don't have too much. There's no
Okay.
stress.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was, if you were able to separate yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a big difference there.
Good. That's good. That's what you need. That's part of retirement.
I don't
So,
know. Here's the thing with stress. Like I think there's certain levels of stress that are good. Like one of the things I miss is stress. I miss being tired constantly, like constantly being tired. I miss that. I know it doesn't sound normal, but that's the fun. The fun is the competition. The fun is trying to get a group of guys together to play together to achieve. That's fun.
yeah. Well, and you guys did a great job over the years, and now Coach Stroll is kind of doing that, and he's got the Eagles playing pretty good. They had a tough schedule this year, but it somehow they are standing atop of Section 2. They're going into Mannheim Week 10. What are we feeling about the big win over Warwick? By the way, that was a pretty big win for them. How did you feel after that win, and then how does it feel to go into this Mannheim game in Week 10 with the section title on the line?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm so proud of the kids and the coaches, because I think we were 1-3 or 2-3 or whatever we were. We were in a predicament. We were in a spot that we could have gone either way going into the Garden Spot game. And, I think from that time on, we've played pretty good football. And I think part of when you play a tough schedule and you get beat, sometimes you get beat up. You got a couple choices. You can get discouraged, or you can get, disappointed. Like disappointment's okay. And our kids, I think, were disappointed, but I don't think they were ever discouraged. And if you're not discouraged, you have a chance to improve and a chance to get better. And I'm so proud of them because we chose to get better.
And how exciting is it that it's Mannheim Central on the other side here for the section title?
It shouldn't really be any other way. That's really what it should be when you're in Section 2 and the section title is on the line. And I look at it from Mannheim's point too. I mean, sure, Warwick's cheering for Mannheim, which is hard. They don't enjoy doing that.
Right.
But I think from a Central standpoint, they're like, look, we could have beaten Warwick, maybe we should have, or whatever. And here's our chance for redemption. And so I think Mannheim's looking at redemption. They're also looking to redeem themselves from last year. I thought we played pretty well against them and beat them by a couple scores, but they've had our number the past few years prior to last year. So, I think there's a lot of factors going in, but the great part is it'll all be settled on Friday night. Friday night around 9:30, we'll know whether Cocalico's the section champ by themselves or they're sharing it with 2 other quality teams.
Yeah, 3-way split is possible, which is again just wild. That it could happen. One of the reasons Cocalico is playing so well is their running game. I mean, they always have a great running game, but Anthony Barassa is just an absolute monster on the field for you guys. He's the leading rusher in the league. He's got the most touchdowns. He's got 2 300-yard games. What have you seen in him? How impressive have you been with him?
Well, when Anthony was in 9th grade, he was not. He stayed out in the 9th grade, the freshman team, and I don't know if it wasn't due to lack of ability. We just had not seen a lot of Anthony Barassa prior to. He had a good year as a freshman and worked out with us prior to his sophomore year. So watching him work out, I'm like, this kid has some physical tools to be very, very good. And we saw him for 2 or 3 weeks as a sophomore, and then he ended up breaking his ankle and missed. I think he missed from the Governor Mifflin game on. That happened in the JV game. Happened from the Governor Mifflin game on, where he wasn't able to play. And we always thought he could be pretty good. And last year I thought he had a great season, but this year, just what he did last year and what he's doing this year, it's just incredible. And again, a running back can't do that by himself.
Well, yeah.
Quarterbacks need to make good decisions. Okay. Offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends, they need to block. And I think that, they've all done that. They've all done a great job. But there are times when there's a mistake made and he still finds a way to get a crease or get a yard, or maybe it looks like it's going to be a 3 or 4 yard gain. And the next thing you know, it's 70 yards. He's really had a great year.
Yeah. Well, we all kind of expected the line to play well because we knew what was coming back, but we weren't quite sure with QB and all that, how it all mesh. But towards the end here, they seem to have gotten it figured out. So that's nice.
Yeah. And again, I think that a lot of that has to do with, when you play a tough schedule, you got two choices. You can either take it on the chin and get pounded around, or you can say, hey, look, if we don't get better, it's going to be a long season. And to our kids' credit, we possibly, I think we're 6-3 right now. I think we've won the games that we're supposed to win. There was a toss-up game with Warwick that could have gone either way, and we ended up winning that one. But Township was better than us at that time. Governor Mifflin was definitely better than us. The only game that we probably would want back is the Cedar Cliff game. And again, that was back and forth, and we ended up losing like in the last minute or so.
Well, you talked about Governor Mifflin. They came in and they were just fantastic. And they have a great running back in Nicholas Singleton. I think it was week 3. He had 154 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, and then caught another one in the air. And I think that was all in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. So he is just electric. How impressed are you with him? I mean, obviously Barrasso's having a great season. This guy's on another level.
They're just two different types of running backs. Nick's going to Penn State on a full scholarship. His visits, I believe, were to Notre Dame, Alabama, Penn State, Texas A&M, and I don't know if he took a fifth or if he didn't take a fifth, but those are your college visits. I'd say you're pretty good. And I remember watching film on him before we played him when he was a freshman against Wilson, and he was doing some Singleton-like things then as a freshman. We played him. He had a big night against us. I know he returned a kickoff for a touchdown. He had another 70-yard run, but we ended up winning, which is good. And then his sophomore year, we played him twice. And the first time, I think he had a little bit, he did a little bit more damage to us. The second time we played him, was probably one of our greatest defensive efforts that I've seen since I've been here. I think we held him to 13 yards on 15 carries. Now,
that was the 2019 District 3 playoffs quarterfinal round. You guys were the top seed.
Yeah.
And you guys absolutely held him in check. I could not believe it. You absolutely demolished them 42-14. How did you stop him? What was the game plan? And can that be repeated, or is he just on a different level now?
Well, I think the game plan is you just got to be more physical. We were more physical at the line of scrimmage than they were. And our perimeter players were more physical than their perimeter players. That wasn't a Nick Singleton didn't have a good game. Nick Singleton didn't have a chance to have a good game because he was suffocated no matter where he went. Right now, I think they're pretty good up front. I think they've got a skilled quarterback, and they just have been playing last year and this year. They're playing at a level that we haven't seen. I mean, their one loss last year was to Pine Richland in the state semifinal. I believe they had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, okay, and ended up losing the game. Pine Richland wins the next week in a mercy rule against Erie Cathedral Prep. So your Governor Mifflin is a very, very good team. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a big run at possibly a chance at a state championship.
Yeah, I mean, they're the team to beat in 5A right now for sure, if not the state. All right, cool. So we talked a little bit about that district run. Do you ever get a chance to like think back or have like a memory too about that? Or is that just something that's in the past and you're just not going to revisit it, all that much?
I like to ride bike and I like to do some other things. And when you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of thinking, yeah, your mind wanders. I mean, I wonder a lot about the night that we played Cheltenham and what if we would have done this and what if we would have done this. I think it was a fantastic season, a fantastic group of kids and coaches. And again, we weren't very good in the beginning of the year, but I think it was one of those things where we got better as the season went along. And I have a pretty good memory with a lot of things, and there's a lot of moments in that season that it'll be a long time before I forget those.
Perfect. All right. Hey, let's switch to your son. You mentioned that you've been traveling to see Brock play at Delaware. What's it been like? Has he been getting in? Is he just kind of doing his own thing? Redshirting? How's that going there?
Well, let's start with the spring. The spring that they didn't play last fall, so that would have been his freshman year. They didn't play in the fall. They played in the spring. And they had a fantastic team in the spring. They just really played well and made the national semifinals. And it was pretty neat. We traveled to Jacksonville State, Alabama, drove that one. The next week we flew to South Dakota State. And so it was a great experience for not only the players and the team, but the parents, because in the spring you really couldn't have fans. I mean, it was the first couple of games, it was just 2 parents. That was it. And then it became, you could have 3 people, or they opened it up to 10%. So spring was just a little bit of an oddity. And then we come to the fall and it's, we first home game at Delaware was 18,000. They had a sellout crowd at Delaware. And so it's been exciting. We've gone to Maine, we've gone to Rhode Island, we've gone to Stony Brook, we've gone to Rutgers. So we're going to go everywhere that they go, that I'm able to get there. And Brock was in a situation where the starting center in the spring was he was a first team all conference or second team all conference center. He was going to be a senior this year. Well, he had 2 herniated discs in his back. So it was touch and go all fall of whether he would play, whether he wouldn't, whether he was, game time decision, this and that. So it was, his name's Mickey Henry. And then Brock was competing with another guy, James Prince. And James Prince was a transfer from Howard, whereas a freshman, he was a freshman All-American. Okay. So, it was one of those things where back and forth competition. Prince gets the first start because Mickey couldn't go. Mm-hmm. So Brock didn't play the first game, and we've played 7 games. Brock's played in 4 of the games, and normally he'll come in the second quarter, and the fourth quarter is normally what he's been doing. So it's not like he just gets in at the end of the game and mop up duty. And in the Rutgers game, Mickey, our starter, did play. He started, and we're in Rutgers and it's 14-0 and out Brock trots in the second quarter of a game in front of 40,000 people. So it was pretty exciting. Actually, it was very exciting. He was in 2 drives. They scored a touchdown and kicked a field goal in the first half. But what wasn't exciting was I had one of my buddies text me and say, "Hey, I saw Brock out in the game." I'm like, "Well, how do you know?" He said, "I was on the Big Ten Network. He got called for a holding. And they said Brock Gingrich out of Reinhold." So I was like, that's not normally how you want your kid to be noticed. So, but it's been really exciting. And the team has not, as well as we played in the spring, we're not playing very well right now, but we got 4 more games and hopefully we can compete in those 4 games.
Very cool. I mean, it's so different from you coaching on the sideline to now watching your son play. Must be so cool.
Well, it is. It's just different. You sit there and as a coach, you're trying to evaluate, okay, what are we doing offensively? What are we doing defensively? But then it's like, okay, your kid's in there. Well, when your kid's in there playing center, okay, well, I watched the line of scrimmage and I tried. It depends. Your eyes wander a lot when you're a spectator. When you're a coach, your eyes are a little bit more disciplined on where they should be. So, no, it's been fun, and my wife and I have had a great time, and we've had a lot of family travel to games, and So it's been very exciting.
Awesome. So happy for you. Also happy that you could come on the podcast here and chat. I think we literally just did more than 30 minutes. I don't know if that's allowed on the podcast, but somehow we did it.
Well, now listen, isn't it your podcast?
It's my podcast.
Don't you set the rules for the podcast? Why are you worried if it's 30 or 22 or whatever it is? You're the man that's in charge.
I just changed the rules so that halftime could be unlimited. Otherwise, you would have only gotten 8 minutes.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
So if I'm at Central or watching it at home, it's going to be a longer halftime, is what you're saying.
No, we have our normal time at halftime for TV broadcast, which we are excited we get to do that game. We planned that before the season even started. Mannheim, Cocalico, week 10, circle it. Never going to miss that game on.
Listen, you didn't really go out on a limb to do that. Like those games for the past 10, 12, 15 years have been pretty good. So you saying, well, hey, we'll pick that one. All right.
You know what? They're not. Are they on the schedule next year with each other? Because
I think we did pick them up as a non-league.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, because Central
That's a whole
is
nother
now 2 and Cocalico's 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. Well, I'm excited though. It's new rivalries, new matchups for us. So we get to kind of, hopefully see some different stuff than the same 4 teams playing each other all the time. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, Mannheim and Cocalico are now separated in section and in district classification. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on. Enjoy the rest of the season. Enjoy going to see Brock, and maybe I'll catch you at some basketball games.
All right. Sounds good. Good talking to you, Chad. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.